Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is David Nates, and today I'm going to speak about the subject of how VFX changed cinema forever. The movies. Just thinking about them makes me feel warm inside. As a young kid, I loved going to the movie theater. The fact of having a huge screen, THX sound, a snack in one's hand, and VFX blasting the audience into imaginary situations was like a dream come true. Nowadays, we take big productions and VFX for granted because they are a standard. But we must also remember that the technology to make films is only 142 years old, more or less. And even the first movies weren't made in the same way that we do them now. Everything was mechanical and was shot as a series of pictures taken at a very fast interval. Obviously, the science behind it, whether we take the old films from the Lumiere brothers shot at 16 frames per second or Thomas Edison filmed at 40 frames per second, it's still pretty similar. Camera makers did settle on 24 frames per second as a standard because it was a good intermediate between a fluid image and cutting costs of film stock. Nowadays, we film mostly on digital, therefore all these constraints are a thing of the past. We're able to control the color, the editing, sound, the VFX, and any other aspect of the editing process with computers. Literally, the process is so much easier for us than it was for them. This is why I want to point out a couple of movies from old to much more recent that literally paved the way to our current way of filmmaking. The first one I'd like to mention is King Kong, which was released in 1933. I'm pretty sure that everyone has heard the name Kong at some point or another. But for those who haven't, it's basically the story of a giant gorilla-type creature that is taken away from its native island to be shown as Kong, the eighth wonder of the world, in a Broadway theater. Things quickly go awry and he perishes in an attempt to possess a beautiful young woman. The most memorable scene of the movie is its grand finale where Kong climbs the Empire State Building and fights off planes that are shooting at him. What's fascinating about this movie is the use of stop-motion animation, created by master sculptor and model maker Marcel Delgado. You have to understand that before this movie came out, there had never been anything like it. The big screen literally was showing a creature that was larger than life. This paved the way to many King Kong sequels, and later on, many other movies used the same stop-motion techniques. What we need to also acknowledge about this movie is that it not only used stop motion, but also matte painting, rear projections, and numerous miniatures in order to create dinosaurs. Talk about influencing future films such as Jurassic Park, but literally these techniques created in this first initial film are still used to this day. The second movie I'd like to mention is 2001: A Space Odyssey, which was released in 1968 and directed by Stanley Kubrick. This film follows a voyage to Jupiter with the Sentinel computer HAL. The discovery of an alien monolith affecting human evolution deals with the themes of technology, AI, existentialism, and of course the existence of extraterrestrial life. This particular picture made use of miniatures and massive sound stages in order to create realistic flights in space. The visionaries behind this film handcrafted the future before the spectator's eyes. One of its most impressive VFX was the use of a technique called slit screen photography, where the camera focuses on a narrow slit as it moves forward and a colorful backdrop behind it is being pushed horizontally back and forth. The psychedelic effect it created was used in many movies as it distorted the picture. One of its most noticeable uses was for the speed up effect in the Star Trek series. The third film I'd like to speak about is Star Wars. Obviously, Kubrick's masterpiece must have struck a chord with young filmmakers of the time, as Star Wars presents many similarities to 2001: A Space Odyssey. In 1975, George Lucas was developing a movie which he had entitled The Adventures of Luke Starkiller. At the time, nothing on such a grand scheme had ever been realized VFX-wise. For that, Lucas paired up with John Dykstra, with whom they had formed a little visual effects company called ILM, or Industrial Light and Magic. For the new Star Wars movie, they developed many new technologies, including a motion-controlled camera filming many visuals against black backdrops in order to film super detailed spacecraft models flying through space. The amazing thing about having a motion-controlled camera movement is the fact that it created extremely realistic pans around the models, creating a sense of motion that wasn't paralleled in movies until then. For all the criticism that George Lucas gets for his storytelling methods, the VFX pioneered in the original Star Wars changed the movie industry forever and catapulted the hunt for better and bigger VFX. The fourth film I'd like to speak about, well, because it was one of my favorites as a pre-teenager, well, it's the 1993 movie Jurassic Park, directed by none other than Steven Spielberg. This one was another milestone in the VFX world, as ILM, in collaboration with Stan Winston's Creature Shop, were able to bring back dinosaurs which had been extinct for 65 million years. In those days, they had already been using computer graphics in order to create VFX shots, but with computer speeds evolving drastically in the 1980s, the computer power in order to create lifelike VFX was starting to become possible. Of course, in those days, they weren't able to do quite as much CGI as nowadays, so in order to make things look realistic, they had to make use of practical props combined with computer animations and optical illusions. In some way, I feel that even in today's day and age, this is the absolute perfect way of doing VFX, combining the real with the CGI with optical illusions created by the camera's lens. All of this comes back to the debate of practical versus digital, which is an ongoing talk in the movie-making world. Some people believe that the practical sets make things seem too tangible and tactile, whereas other filmmakers just love the fact that they can insert things into any shot. The reality is that both mediums present positives and negatives, and probably like everything in life, no extreme is good. It's about finding the balance between both. It's all about moderation. The final and fifth film I'd like to speak about is the 1999 movie The Matrix, which was directed by the Wachowskis. This movie is super well known for amazing special effect techniques, and especially for its bullet time. It's an effect where they use a large number of still photography cameras that take pictures in quick succession to create a camera movement that, once edited, creates an amazing movement of slow motion action. The Matrix not only created an amazing special effect technique with its bullet time, but also spoke about many metaphorical events such as the overtaking of AI and the existence of reality versus its virtual counterpart. By blending martial arts, sci-fi, special effects, the directors were able to create a universe unseen until then. After all, movies are about making people dream and sending them into other worlds. With the ever-progressing VFX imagery, and now with the implementation of VR technology in video games and some films, pretty soon we may get to a point of a completely immersive cinema experience. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. As per usual, please be sure to subscribe and hit the like button. There are many other movies that influence the world of filmmaking. These are just a few examples from, well, mostly my childhood that have influenced me into wanting to create dream worlds of myself. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.